Well, hello there, space travelers, seers of the beyond, mind bogglers, flybys, frisbees, and aliens. My friends, welcome to this channel. This is the channel where you are going to get an alternative perspective, my friends, on specific subjects that currently we are looking at through our atlas as it comes post-perihelion, my friends. And China has released their footage from October. And my friends, as you might know by now, and if you don't know, I'll give you a little update of what I do on this channel. This channel is not some kind of hyperbolic scientist on a trajectory of science information. No, my friends, this is a visual artist who has taught himself how to do speculative digital modeling, where I take star maps, which is from either amateur telescopic footage and or big government agency like European Space Agency and NASA. I take their footage and I basically decipher it. But the way that I do it is by putting it onto a very basic software and then tweaking the dials, so to speak. And so what I'm doing is I am remodeling the image with light. That's what I do, my friends. And that is what I bring to you. And I found that this technique can make the image pop. So when we see those images, like this one from the Thai citizen who got pointed out where 3i Atlas was around the sun with that satellite image, when NASA, with those coordinates, and everyone says, yes, we found it again. We didn't, my friends. Well, we did part of it. And that's why I say part. Why do I say part of it, my friends? Because I have found there to be two big objects out there that look very, very technological to me. Okay. Now, remember, I said I'm not a scientist. I have a very vivid imagination, but I have a skill for deciphering objects in space. In particular, reading topographical maps. I'm a specialist in that, my friends, and I am bringing that specialization to you to extract this footage. So, without further ado, I would like to present to you what I found with China's images. So, as with European Space Agency, my friends, when they gave us that magnificent GIF, which, you know, people raved at the time, but the thing is that, you know how we are. We are like Pac-Men, gobbling up information without hardly any time to digest. So, my friends, the thing is this, that I digested these GIFs. And I'd like to bring to you first, take a look at this GIF, okay, some footage from the ESA GIF, right? And now this one from China. Now, my friends, you're going to see the similarity. But in the Chinese one, it is a lower resolution shot. It's more pixelated, but do not be misled by anyone saying anything about those pixels, because I'm going to reveal something to you that if you've been following my videos, my friends, then I would encourage you to look back at my other discussions, because I lay it out for you image by image what I see in this object. I've learned how to extract it from those star maps, which you must understand. Apart from the GIFs that we're getting from European Space Agency and the Chinese, when I look at amateur footage, my friends, it is a map dense. Look at this, right? But the image I get is color. And in order to make the object pop from the background, I convert to black and white. So, my friends, but in any case, look at this one, which is a colored shot, right? That one was back in September, early September. But my friends, you can see how I've tweaked the dials, and what you can see, those lines around there, that is because this object also spins. So I detected from my observations that the object was spinning and rotating, and then a few days later, scientists confirmed it. This has been happening on and off quite often since I've been tracking this thing. My observations prove correct, and science follows up with it. You know, I don't know, you can see there's just over 130 subscribers. I'd love there to be more subscribers. I think that a lot of the subscribers, quite a few of them are also for the other spiritual book that I read. But my friends, you know, even if there's just 70 or 80 of you that are interested in what 3i Atlas looks like, it says a lot about the millions of people in the world who don't know what 3i Atlas looks like, apart from that light, apart from those terrible, horrific images that AI has been spewing out, and also very well-known astronauts and astrophysicists and geophysicists. You know, I've got nothing against them, but their imaginations are rot when it comes to this, because they're just imagining something based on what AI has fed them, instead of going there and extracting the information. And my friends, you know how many times I have invited those people to come and look, just look, you know, just look at my images, make a comment, and they don't. They ignore me or they delete me. That's the way the game is, my friends. People don't want to know. They don't want to know what this object looks like. I think because they would have their minds blown. If you've been following me, my friends, and you've been looking at this object, your mind is primed. My mind is primed. I've gotten myself used to what it looked like. But I can imagine if somebody's never seen it before and suddenly they see these images, they're going to get a big reaction. Or just say, oh, well, it's just la la la. Well, my friends, it's not la 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 la. Here I present you the real deal, as close as what you are going to get it in the sky. So, European Space Agency GIF gave us these, and I extracted, because that is a higher resolution image, I could get beautiful sharpening on those images. However, the Chinese one, you see all those pixelated things there. Now you see, before sharpening those pixelated images up, my friends, it looks pixelated. And so one concludes it's pixelated. And that's also a little bit of Western bias. You know, like, don't buy Chinese because it's bad. Look, we have got history of bad things coming out of China. But my friends, don't underestimate Chinese space agency and their ability to, you know, for them to take footage, because this footage, my friends, is very, very really revealing, even more revealing than the European Space Agency. And I'll tell you something else. It's not low res. It fools you. You see, if you've got a Chinese bias and then you see this image, you're going to more than likely jump to conclusions that it is a bad image when it's not. So, what happened when I sharpened up and went in there? Well, my friends, I discovered this, which is part of my theory that is based on observation, based on the European Space Agency's footage, and based on very, very accurate NASA coordinates, amateur telescopic images. My friends, I present to you these images. Now take a look at that. Now, I will quickly tell you what my theory is, what my hypothesis is, because I've noticed from early on in August that from looking at those amateur footage, star maps, that this object was changing in substance, okay? Changing in substance in the sense that it would pump out this gas, different types of gas, which I observed to be interacting with the plasma of the sun, okay? And inside those globules of gas, I saw objects forming, okay? Objects that look recognizable to me as machine parts, manifolds, bolts, machine parts. I will leave it at that. I see it as the real thing. But because I don't have the Harvard gown, so my friends, this object releases a gas, okay? And that gas, which is carbon dioxide, some carbon monoxide, there's a lot of nickel without iron, there is hydrogen cyanide, and it interacts with plasma. And quite naturally, as science has detected, these things happen. That is a natural occurrence, okay? However, the things that are being manufactured, I have seen on the body of the object. Then, when European Space Agency came up and I could get a closer look at this object, I could look into the halo. And there's some beautiful footage on the ESA GIF that shows you what the halo looks like. And based on the Hubble image and the nucleus, I started to decipher the nucleus, okay? And my observations have shown, have proven, and this is not speculation now, okay? I'm not going to speculate now, but as I said before, when I say I'm speculating, then I'm speculating. But when I say I'm not speculating, then I'm not speculating. However, to you, it might be speculation, and that's fine, okay? Don't hammer me for it, please, okay? Because I'm seeing images that I'm pretty convinced about. But you are the author of your life, and you make your own decisions. You don't believe everything that I say, even if I'm convinced. That, my friends, I would like to clear up with you, okay? So I've made observations, and some of those observations are so realistic to me that at some point I stop speculating, right? So when I saw that halo spread out like that, and I went into that halo and looked at those body parts, those ionized crystallization plasma parts with a gas, okay, I noticed that those parts were all over the structure of the object. Not only that, my friends, when I was studying the nucleus, I saw those parts inside the nucleus. Okay, this made me think to myself, well, if all those objects strung out there inside the halo, which is, by the way, 700,000 kilometers in diameter plus, okay, that is a scientific observation. All those objects, look at this one, all lined up there. Those are all the body parts, which is basically the structure of this object, is all lined up there. It's there with the nucleus. There is an object, but it's manufactured parts of itself and it's strung up in that nucleus, right? Then, at a certain point in time, all of that stuff disappears. And then when you analyze the nucleus right there afterwards, you can find those body parts inside that nucleus. So, would it not be safe to say then that this object manufactures parts of itself when it comes into our solar system with the sun? It reacts with the sun. It creates this massive halo, which is full of itself, basically, parts of itself. So, it is like in visual arts, we talk about installations. And installation in art is when you make a sculpture where you install all the parts inside a space. Okay, so 3D Atlas is like an installation within its halo. All those parts are strung up. However, my friends, here's something interesting. This is why I speculate now that this is an intelligence, because I've seen it collect all of those objects, well, substantial, it collects them into its nucleus. And the body is made up of all those parts. Is it not safe to say that, okay, it manufactures itself and it flies? It is basically all those parts and all of them together. You get what I'm saying? It's spread out and it's also together. Then there's two of them riding tandem, two different shapes. One has got those four legs, which are like very robotic things because they can come down, they can come up, they can maneuver. I mean, look a bit of this one that changes like that. Then riding tandem with that is this massive rock-looking one. Looks more like an asteroid. It actually looks more like a comet or an asteroid, this big sausage one. Okay, and that one, my friends, is basically the same design as the other one, the robotic arms, but the robotic arms one, it has got those protuberances that move in a certain way. That's not to say the other one doesn't. It just got a different shape. It just looks more like a typical comet or asteroid, right? Because look at this one. I've sharpened it up and you can see a different landscape, okay? Now, let's get back to the GIF. Let's get to the Chinese GIF now, okay? So the Chinese one, what we think initially is out of focus or pixelated or a bad image, is a beautiful shot. Because I don't know where exactly this Chinese one was taken from, my friends. However, you can see, look at this image now, right? You see the gas, okay? I've written there the gas. Those are pockets of gas that enshroud parts of the object, okay? It may be manufacturing. It might just be It seems to do that. Even on these earlier images, you see the gas encapsulating parts of it, okay? And you can see an activity going on inside there, right? And so in the Chinese one, you see those gas, what we think is pixelated, is balls of gas. Now, there's gas and there's gas, right? 3i Atlas, my friends, is like a gas giant, all right? It makes a gas which is incredibly light. In other words, it has an energy to it that we don't understand, but we only can understand it as light, because that energy, my friends, changes the color, okay? That changes from red to blue to green, whatever. It's that light. Now that gas, my friends, when it gets pumped out, interacts with the sun, creates these objects. But inside those objects is the gas, you see. And then all those objects are created or manufactured in the halo. And then it has this ability to bring everything together to create a physical nucleus. How beautiful is that, my friends? This is an intelligence. Like that, it's an intelligence. That's what it's doing. That's what I've observed it doing. It is 50% speculated that. The rest is, I would say, I can't doubt my eyes, you see. But of course, I leave it up to you. You know, you decide what you want to do. Don't just believe me, okay? I'm not trying to convince anyone here or make any claims. I'm just giving you my observations. It started off as being interested in what this object looks like, and it's kind of gone in a direction where I have got to see what the object actually doing, you know. And science is not acknowledging this. I think they might later on. And that's possibly also why nobody, you know, really is interested in this subject, because it's too way out for them, okay? I can provide you with the images, but I think that I have been primed because I've been studying these images, so I can see it more than what you could see it. That's why I encourage you to look at my other footage so that you get used to it. Because I've also noticed, my friends, which is the same as when I make a painting, okay, an abstract painting, for example, or even a figurative piece of art. There's a certain point where I don't know whether it's complete or not. I step back and I look at it. I watch it. I've learned to watch and just surrender, just be the witness of it. And I can tell you what, that watching is a very specific thing that happens there. Because when you let go, you start to see things that when your mind's not in the way. Your brain starts to capture things that you would never see before. And that's how the star map also releases, you know, how it is realized, the star map, so to speak. There are times when I can't actually see it from the dust, and I just observe it, and slowly it reveals itself to me. That is how optics work. That's how our brains work. Sometimes there's too much information. You need to look at it slowly. Don't just gobble it all up. So I would suggest that you pause my videos at a point that you like, that you find interesting, and just observe. You might be pleasantly surprised, my friends. I would encourage you to do that, because there's a very good chance that this object may come to Earth, okay? Because given what it does, it's got all those body parts, it's got this intelligence to gather and to traject, okay? And every single, who knows, it could be producing probes like that, so-called probes. But what I want to tell you, my friends, is that the gas, okay, the energy itself is 3i Atlas, not the object. Because that object is spread across the halo and then completely brought together. And not only that, it can also look as different objects, which it does. It can look like this robotic thing with all these arms, okay? Then it can look like the sausage. Well, there is also the sausage, which is more like a flattish disc type of looking comet, asteroid comet thing with a different landscape on it. That also produces gas. Okay, and then you got the ones with the legs that can move around, okay, and then you got a whole lot of other little things flying around also, which are part of the body again. So what it looks like is that the body is made up of lots of minute capsules of different shapes and sizes and functions that get gravitationally pulled into the main object, okay, or can just hang around in the halo. Why not? And that's how it travels. As for the speed, that is something to be reckoned with. So my friends, this is my little bit. It's very exciting to see this footage. Also this blue pixelated, I would tell you now that this blue pixelated one, the recent one from early November, is a worse image than the Chinese image. By far a worse image. Okay, if you want to come down to whether it's good or not, because that one is so blued up and it looks like it's been messed around with by the one who shot it. Okay, in my opinion, it's been messed around with, so you're not going to get much detail out of it. However, this other one from early November, which is also an amateur telescopic footage, which I had a great privilege of looking at, my friends, that one is a good shot. All right. So you can see whoever is behind the lens with the software, they are either trying to hide something, okay, or they are being speculated to be hiding something because of a bias. You know, there's all these things. That's why, my friends, you have to decide for yourselves. You look at my images, they're the best I can give you. They are the best of this object on the internet at this moment in time. They're not generated by AI, okay? And I believe they are the closest to the real thing, okay? But you've got to know what you're looking at. That's the bottom line. Otherwise, you won't see it. Otherwise, your imagination, which is primed by AI, primed by comics, primed by graphic novels, primed by, you know, Hollywood, you name it. You'll be surprised. Your imagination doesn't belong to you. All right. It's more of a collective thing. It's when you step out of that, out of the collective matrix, and you start to look at things in your own unique way, just by observation. That's when you start to see how you see uniquely. And that frees up your mind to be able to see things like 3i Atlas. Now, by the physical, how are you going to know in the physical? You see, I suspect it's part of it or something of 3i Atlas is going to come to Earth. I suspect that. I wouldn't put it past it, given the kind of thing that it is. It can take on any shape it wants, but every single shape, my friend, is encapsulated with itself, right? So look out for that. It could be a tiny little thing that looks like it. And when I'm saying tiny, I would estimate, okay, that because the nucleus is about 5.6 kilometers in diameter, each nucleus, okay, the parts inside there, I would estimate that they are probably round about 1 meter to 10 meters in size, okay? So I wouldn't say that they're less than 1 meter in size, but it's so approximately. But a capsule made from an alien substance that's got an extraterrestrial inside it, okay, be careful. That's all I'm saying. Be careful, okay? Don't get your you got to know what you're dealing with, all right? That's all I'm saying, because even Avi Loeb doesn't know what this thing looks like, okay? As far as I'm concerned, nobody knows what this thing, they don't know what it looks like. And that's where the dark forest theory comes in. 3i Atlas has done a really good job. It's not that it does that job, I think it's just like that, right? It's safe like that. It's going to come here, but we won't know until it's too late. But in a good sense. It's not, I can't see in any way how this intelligence could be malicious. The ones who are malicious are the humans, right? Because they don't know themselves. That's the bottom line. Or they're fighting for territory, religious territory. You know, if you're stuck in a religious matrix, you're stuck in a religious matrix. If you believe that your religion is not a matrix, I'm telling you it is, but not to you, because you believe other. You're allowed to believe whatever you want. On my show, you believe whatever you want, my friends. Okay? You can, you may. But don't come and tell me what I should believe. all right? Or what I speculate, or what my hypothesis is wrong, or whatever, okay? Because I'm not Harvard, right? But I am good at what I'm doing. And that's what I bring to you. So my friends, if you haven't already subscribed, think about it, subscribe, hit the like button, share. Sharing is caring, my friends. And until next time, my friends, you have a good one.